Some clients don't have boundaries. How do I deal? Tips on the mindset shift from one-person show to agency, any change in your daily routine. Have you found your entrepreneurship sweet spot? How did you manage work-life balance when freelancing and working full-time? Hey everyone, what's up and welcome back to the show. I gotta get this out of the way first and foremost. I don't normally make these little announcements, but I know that my hair is doing some wild things today. I don't know if I look like I'm 12 with this little braid, and I can also guarantee you the braid is gonna fall out as I get talking, so just please ignore that. It is beautiful fall weather. We're finally getting fall weather here, but it is so humid today. I don't know what's going on, so this is the best I can do, okay? Okay. With that said, I wanted to record a little mindset productivity sort of Q&A today. This is a topic I've been getting a lot of questions about recently, and I actually, based on the video that I just posted, my latest vlog, a lot of you had feedback, good, bad, ugly. So I just kind of wanted to talk about some of these things about burnout, all that. And I thought, what better way to do that than to see what you all were struggling with and how I might be able to help. So let's hop in. First question I thought was extremely appropriate for, what's been going on in my life. And it is, how do you keep yourself from working 24/7? And I think the best answer to this question is really have things that you love to do, have things that matter to you in your life that's not just work. So maybe that's family, maybe that's relationships, maybe that's a hobby or an activity. I just started taking this piano class. A lot of you were asking like, what are you doing in school? It's just for fun. It's just for fun. I have no desire to be like a pianist or anything like that. I just wanted to have an activity. I really don't have a lot of hobbies like that don't involve making money somehow, to be honest. It's like every hobby I come up with ends up being a monetizable activity, which I guess is a good thing to some extent, but you need to have things that you just like to do for fun. So have things like that. Also, routines really, really help. I'm not the kind of person who wakes up every morning and like starts journaling and, works out and stuff like that. I wish I was that person. I don't think that's ever going to be me, but I do have certain routines. Like I wake up and I always like to have, 10, 20 minutes, maybe more like 20, 30 minutes just to myself. Like drink my coffee by myself in silence with a candle or a book, or maybe reading some news or a podcast or something like that, just me time. And then I like to spend, 20, 30, 40 minutes with my husband before we leave, go our separate ways for the day, either really go our separate ways or go to separate areas of the apartment. So having those routines kind of help your brain signal, okay, this is relaxing time, this is family time, and then this is work time. And then same thing for the end of the day. Close your door to your office if you have a physical office. If you're just working in your kitchen like I did for years, close your laptop, walk away, go outside to signal the end of the day. It's really important to have those sort of unplug times and make them non-negotiable. Of course, we're going to have late nights sometimes that are really hard to avoid, but as best as you can, day to day, try to have those routines. Some clients don't have boundaries. How do I deal? I don't know if this question is about like personal boundaries, like they're asking inappropriate questions, or if it's probably more related to time, workload, stuff like that. I'm going to guess it's the latter, in which case I would definitely recommend having a good onboarding process, looking at your onboarding process and making sure that it's really clear on what your expectations are. With that, I mean making sure that the scope of your project is outlined really nicely, that they know exactly what they're getting for what they're paying, that you detail your communication preferences and requirements, frankly. What's the email they reach out to if they're having an account issue, if they get locked out of their account, if they don't like something that goes up, like what is the process for that? Because if you don't give them a process, they will overstep. I mean, that's just how humans work. And I try not to make it this like us against them thing, because it's just how we all work, right? Like until someone tells us not to do something, you think of a kid, they're going to touch that hot stove until you tell them not to do it. So I don't want to talk about clients like they're children, but you kind of have to teach them what is appropriate, for your working situation. So if you don't give them any expectations, they're just going to call you the second they have something going on. So it's important for you to do that. As far as boundaries with like workload, I will leave a link to a YouTube video I did. It's a YouTube short. So it's like a 1-minute clip. It really is my answer to scope creep. I think that will help you, hopefully. Tips on the mindset shift from one-person show to agency, any change in your daily routine. Huge changes. This is something I don't want to say I'm struggling with because I love it. I love working with the team. I love my team. They're all amazing and capable and, always there for me. But yeah, it is kind of hard because you have to go from being the doer, you're doing everything, you're hustling super hard, you're doing all the things, being maybe a Jack or Jane of all trades, to you're being the delegator, you're being the leader, you're being the motivator. That's really your job now. My job is not to do all the things. I really should not be even doing as much as I do in my business. I still do a lot of hands-on stuff in my business, and it's a lot of things. It's me being kind of stubborn, which I really need to work on with myself, of like, you need to give this to other people. I have a thing where I feel like I don't want my team to think like I'm being lazy and I'm pushing all this stuff off to them because I don't want to work. So I'll do things. I'm like, oh, that's quick. I can just do it. My video editor actually, yeah, love you, girl, brought this up to me in our last call. She was like, I noticed that you like pre-edit the video. I'm like, caught, guilty. Yeah, it's not that I don't think they're capable. It's just like, I'm like, oh, I can just help. I can just be a little more helpful. But really, you need to think of it. You're the CEO of the company. You need to be saving and focusing your energy on the things that no one else can do. No one else can sign the checks for me, right? I have to pay my people. I have to make time to pay those invoices or no one else is going to get paid. I have to come up with the ideas. I come up with all these topic ideas. I come up with all my course ideas, all my lecture content. I need to do that stuff. No one else can do that for me. And if I don't do those things, nobody else can get paid to do the things that I'm trying to help them do, So that's one way that I kind of think of it. It's also about relinquishing creative control. I mean, I don't really have a big issue with that nowadays. We'll talk a little bit about that. Another question asked about action and messy action. But if you are somebody who's very meticulous with certain things that you do and processes that you have, yeah, you got to get used to like realizing 90% of what you did is still better than 0%. Right? If I can do 2 videos a week rather than 1 video a week on my own, and even if the quality, I mean, I think my editor is amazing, so I'm not talking about you specifically, but even if I were to say the quality is like 90% as good as when I do it myself, I can still do 2 videos at 90% or 1 video at 100%, right? Like you have to weigh that out. The answer is usually going to be that it's better to still do 2 videos at a little bit under your standard, which again, my videos are amazing. So I'm not talking about my editor. Have you found your entrepreneurship sweet spot? This is a tough one because, and I'm guessing they're meaning like work-life balance wise. I think no, but I don't. Okay. Yes and no is my answer. Yes and no. I think when we think about the term work-life balance, we think of an antiquated view of it. We think of work-life balance like a lot of maybe our parents worked. They went to work 9 to 5 and then they clocked out and then they were at family time 5 to 9, 10, whatever. And then weekends were always about family and kids. I don't know that that is the future of work, at least for me. And I also want to say, when I talk about being burnt out, like I did in my last vlog, sometimes people, I get all these like coaches and stuff like that in my DMs, like, oh my gosh, Latasha, you need to do this. Don't tell me what to do, number one, with love. I know that I could put out more self-paced courses and make a lot of money doing that and not have to live teach. I know that I could put up Zoom calls as videos or whatever. I could do things halfway, but that's not my style. I like to be busy. I like to have interaction with live students. I like to be in the comments of YouTube. I like to check my DMs. Well, not really, but I know, whatever. Okay, I digress. So at the level of work that I enjoy doing, I don't know that Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, weekends off balance is realistic for me, or even what I want. What I want is to be able to prioritize things in my life. And I think, yes, I have reached that level. I'm at the level where if a friend calls me and they're having some type of crisis, they broke up with their boyfriend or they, are having a bad mental health day, I can go meet them for coffee pretty much anytime, any day. I don't really have any meetings that I am not in control of, that I cannot move. I teach 2 hours a week for the most part. So as long as it's not those hours, I can do it. If my family wants to come visit for a weekend, I can go hang out with them. No questions asked. I can take time off whenever I want. If I want to go travel, whenever I kind of start traveling again, I can work from anywhere. So that to me is balance. That to me feels good. Somebody in the Freelance Friday Club recently was talking about this and they said, their non-negotiable is their kids' soccer games. I think it was soccer or some type of sports game. They will not miss one of those. yeah, I'm in the same place. I think if I become a parent, I'm going to have things like that where I don't want to miss my kids' piano recitals, dance recitals, soccer games, whatever. But maybe I'm working then afterwards, after dinner, after we come home and celebrate their soccer game, I'm going to work on the computer till 9 p.m., you know? So I think it's about finding what balance is like for you is the moral of the story. And yes, I do think I'm at that place where I have enough flexibility and control over my schedule, but it doesn't look like every evening I log off exactly at 5 p.m. And although most days I do, I will say. Power of saying no. Ooh, good one. I always say opportunity comes from saying yes. Power comes from saying no. The first part, I said yes a lot when I was first starting out. I'm like amazed that my hair is still in this braid. I definitely thought it was going to fall out. I probably jinxed it now. But anyway, yeah, when I first started out, I said yes to everything, right? I said yes to every speaking gig. I was speaking for free. I was doing work for like way affordable rates. Let's just put it nicely. And then once you've kind of proven to yourself, once you've built your portfolio, once you've proven to yourself that you can do it, once you've proven to other people that you can do it, and you start to build that demand and build that reputation, then it's time to start saying no and driving up the value of your work. That's what I think the power of saying no does for you. And I know it sounds super cheesy and super cliche, but whenever I've said no to something and had to walk away from something better has like always come up. Seriously. It might not be in that day, in that month even, but over time, I'll be like, okay, there was a reason that didn't work out. There was a reason. Maybe the company did something I don't agree with. Maybe they went out of business. Maybe I got a contract that was worth double what they were trying to offer me, whatever the case may be. It always works out that way. And at the very least, you're able to prioritize some of your own things. And I think it's really important for everybody to have some type of product that they own, some type of IP or intellectual property, whether that's a course, whether that's a program, whether that's a ebook, whether that's something, because you can always sell that even if the clients aren't there. So you can always work on that while you're saying no to other things. Best tips to get going and take action. You have to do stuff. You have to take action for anything to change. I have gotten really comfortable over the years with taking messy action, creating a first draft. That's really important. It's important to know that, and I say this with love, your first anything is probably going to suck. My first video sucked. My first podcast, not that good. My first blog post, terrible. My first client project, honestly, looking back, kind of bad. My first course, not great. Updated it 3 times now, I think, to make it the quality that my students deserve. You have to just start though. If you don't start, you can't improve. How can you improve on something that hasn't been started? And watch it back. Like watch your course, watch your client call, record your client calls, watch them back to yourself, record your discovery calls and keep them internally and watch them back and say, I can do better at this next time. I notice I am not making eye contact. I noticed, you know what? I shouldn't have worn a hoodie on that discovery call. I should have dressed up for the occasion, whatever it is, like your first one is going to give you material to improve upon. That's how I take action, is knowing that not everything I create or do is going to be a masterpiece, but it's going to give me an opportunity to improve. How do you make sure you achieve your goals that seem impossible at times? So you have to break your goals up into little baby chunks, okay? Let's say that, you're starting out, you're making, a full-time income at a corporate job. You want to start a business and you want to have a business that earns, $100,000, right? That coveted 6-figure year. You need to break that up by first saying, I need to replace my full-time job income. I have this note on my phone somewhere that I wrote out my little goals. And it was like, on month 1, I want to do 75% of what I made in corporate. Maybe it was like 50%. Month 2, I want to do 75%. Month 3, I want to be making what I make in corporate. So you're giving yourself leniency. I'm probably not going to replace my full-time income in 1 month. That's just not realistic. So that's the other part of it, is you have to have time goals associated to that too. Then from there, okay, now you've made your corporate income. How do you get to that 6-figure mark? Okay, I just need to double the amount of contracts or raise my rates once or, whatever that is. Break it up into little micro goals. Because saying a big number like that when you're starting out from scratch is like so overwhelming and it does feel impossible. But you can take on 3 clients. You can get 1 client even further back. You can get 1 discovery call. It all starts from there. I mean, I know, again, it probably sounds cliche, but you just got to start. Like, one is better than nothing. One attempt is better than nothing. And that's how you grow. And that's how you reach your goals, truly. How did you manage work-life balance when freelancing and working full-time? So I've talked before on other podcasts and YouTube videos about, how I would actually manage my time. I would take a lot of calls in the morning before I went to work with my European clients. I would take calls with my clients on the West Coast after work because of the time differences and things like that. I would take calls on my lunch break sometimes. I've talked about that before. But about the actual balance and like the mindset of it, first, it really comes down to choosing clients that you get excited about. I'm not going to say that that's not work, because work is work. Like this, I love doing this. I mean, this is so fun to me, but it's still work. Like I'm hungry. Like I'm ready for a lunch break. Like I said, I had to record this twice because my hair was doing like wild things. It was wow. So it's still work, even though I love it, but it makes it a whole lot easier. If you're working with a client that you're super excited about, it makes it a lot easier. And the thing is, when you're working full time, your bills are covered, right? Your full-time job is covering your bills, covering your lifestyle. Your freelancing is really more about building your reputation, building your portfolio, building those relationships, setting the foundations of your business. So do that with intention, I would say, is number one. Number two, I think having a an untouchable day is so important. I still have one. I don't work most weekends, but sometimes I do. Sometimes I film a video or, whatever, work on something. But I always have one weekend day. It's either Saturday or Sunday. It depends on what's going on in my life. That is not to be touched. That is just for relaxing, laying on the couch, hanging out with my friends, my family, my husband, whatever. Like, you have to have that. And it's especially important when you're working full time, because working 7 days a week with 2 jobs, I've done it. It's a road to burnout. I would say those are probably the big things. The last thing about that is being really honest too. Being transparent with your clients. For some reason, I think we have this thing where we're like ashamed to admit that we still have a full-time job, which I've been there. I felt the same way. I don't know why, but it's better for everybody involved if you're just honest and you say, hey, I work during the day, so I can either take calls, at noon on my lunch break, or we can meet up on my way home from work, or, whatever. It prevents a lot of disappointment, and it also prevents a lot of stress from your clients calling you in the middle of the day and you feeling like you have to hide things from your boss and like all these different things. Like, just be honest. And if they don't like that, then you'll find somebody else, abundance mindset, right? Last question I want to answer. What do you believe is the best strategy? Try to be as viral as possible, or try to be as consistent, honest, and active as possible? When I first read this question, I thought the answer was really obvious. I would say it's the latter. But after thinking about it, I think my answer is it depends. It depends on what stage in business you're at. If you are building an audience, you should actually be trying for virality, if you will. I don't really like that word, but discoverable content. Creating content that is going to get a lot of eyes on it, that is going to get you in front of a lot of people. That can look different for everybody. That could be a search-friendly YouTube video. That could be speaking at a conference. That could be doing a TikTok, a trending TikTok, right? But once you start to develop that audience and build the audience, then it's time to nurture them and create content on a consistent schedule that really provides them value and works them through that sales funnel. I will say about this question, you should always be honest. I think that there is a way to do viral and to do attention grabbing while still being honest. I mean, I experiment with my YouTube titles, right? Of course, if I'm talking about something sad, I'm going to put that in the YouTube title because I know people are going to click on it because they're curious. But it doesn't mean that I'm not going to actually talk about that, or that I'm going to like dramatize it. No, I'm just going to bring up whatever happened in the video in a more entertaining way, So there's ways to do it that are honest and seeking that virality, if you will, let's say attention grabbing. But yeah, you have to know where you're at in your funnel and what your goal is, what you're trying to accomplish with those eyeballs on your content. Okay, I think that's it for all the questions today. But before we go, I want to thank Lance for partnering with me on today's audio podcast episode. Lance is the first smart business bank account for the self-employed. Over 60 million freelancers struggle to navigate their business banking and accounting because today's options still lack a clear financial structure and relevance to most one-person freelance businesses. Freelancers' deductible expenses are often unclear. Payroll accounting differs depending on a lot of different factors, business structure, revenue, all of that. And freelancers often struggle to know how client payments should be allocated across salaries, business expenses, taxes, and business profit. Lance is like a robo CFO or chief financial officer. It puts all of your freelance business income on self-drive. It helps you pay your taxes, transfers a personal salary over to you, tracks your expenses, and even auto saves a portion of your revenue. And hey, I know there are a lot of neobanks out there, but here's what makes Lance different. Lance is the business account that puts your money on autopilot. You set your stacks and watch your income get auto-allocated towards salary, savings, taxes, and expenses, just how you want it. And if you get Lance Pro, Lance pays your taxes to the IRS, your salary to you, and with Lance Checkout, your clients can pay you directly using a credit card. So I will leave a link down below for Lance if you want to check them out. Having your business finances in order is quite important to keeping that healthy business mindset as well, might I add, because there really is no stress like financial stress in your business. I'm telling you, maybe it's just me. I don't think it is though, but I know I never want to feel like I'm trying to scam the system. I never want to feel like the IRS is after me. Actually, I just talked about this in last week's video about how I'm having some issues with my own salary and paying myself. And it really does do a number on your mindset and your mental health when you're running a business. So having this stuff in order is super, super important. So again, I'll leave that link down below and in the show notes if you're listening on the audio platforms. If you're watching on YouTube, just so you know, you can subscribe on the audio platforms. We're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and pretty much anywhere else. And if you're listening, subscribe to me on YouTube. I'm trying to get to 100K. That's the goal. I don't think it's going to happen by the end of the year, but maybe by March or so. Let's aim for that. So you can find me on YouTube, Latasha James. Just search that in the search bar. And thank you all for tuning in. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Hope you enjoyed the episode, and I will talk to you next time. Bye.